biggest race of the season.
Charge up every time we roll in here.
A win at the World Center of Racing?
That'd be pretty awesome, wouldn't it?
Can change your career forever.
Never know what could happen.
But to get to victory lane is no easy task.
Finish the race and you can finish first.
Plenty of patience.
There's a tremendous amount of variables that you can't control here.
The perfect strategy.
Each guy's going to have their own unique plan going into the race.
And you have to have a little bit of luck.
You have no idea who's going to win. It could be anybody's race.
The road to victory lane.
It's finally here.
Starts now.
This is Action Sports Jax Road to Victory Lane.
Well, this isn't exactly the look we were hoping for at Daytona International Speedway on the day of the Great American Race, but it is a drenched track in Daytona, and there will be no racing on this Sunday in Daytona.
Yeah, Daytona International Speedway, very quiet and very wet as well. That is the way it's been really the last couple of days. We kind of knew this could happen. We're talking about a Monday finish at the Daytona 500 for 2024. Race time will be 4 o'clock on Fox, but we've got an hour to get you set because we are here. We are live at Daytona International Speedway. Welcome to our Road to Victory Lane special. Brent Martineau along with Stuart Weber, and usually this place is packed with fans, excitement, energy. Instead, it's just packed with raindrops.
Yeah, it's a little disappointing, but it's also a little expected this week because we've known this forecast for days now. We got the first alert, of course, from our great meteorologist at Action Sports Jax, and it was supposed to rain all weekend, and really it has rained all weekend. But, you know, what can you do? That's racing.
And first postponement to this kind, to a Monday finish since 2012, but obviously not the first Monday finish at the Daytona 500. We have team coverage from here all the way back to Jacksonville, and that includes our entire Action Sports Jax team, Marcel Robinson, Dan Hicken, and Olivia Tassily, as we have you covered until 1 o'clock and then hand off to Fox's coverage of the Daytona 500.
So the pursuit of this trophy, the Harley J. Earl Trophy, is going to have to wait another day. It is one of the most prestigious trophies in all of motorsports and annually goes to the winner of this Daytona 500. Did you know they actually started this edition of the trophy in 2001?
There you go.
1998. So the first guy to have it was Dale Earnhardt Sr.
Well, there we go. NASCAR is always full with storylines when you start a new season, and this is the start of a season, the start of like a football season, baseball season, basketball season. That's what's happening here with the Daytona 500 every year for NASCAR, and we've had some wild storylines over the years, from drivers retiring to a new crop of drivers to rule changes to cars that are different. Well, this one's more business-oriented going into 2024. And one of the big things going forward is how NASCAR is going to showcase the sport.
It's the biggest revenue base for the sport. The media rights is a significant piece of the puzzle.
It's a puzzle still being put together by NASCAR and its team owners. Think a collective bargaining agreement in football or baseball. One step forward is a new media deal that kicks in next season and introduces a pair of new broadcast partners.
It really just guarantees the existence of NASCAR for years or maybe even decades to come. So really important for the tracks, the teams, and of course NASCAR, the sanctioning body, and ultimately it makes its way towards fans with a racing product that they know will be around for many years.
The media partners that they brought on with Amazon, Bleacher Report, and whatnot is a very crucial element to getting this sport out to a broader audience.
Denny Hamlin knows all about that as one of the central figures in Full Speed, the Netflix documentary released earlier this month.
I definitely noticed just more engagement, and I look at statistics about where the new followers come from. It's coming from different countries, different places where NASCAR's not necessarily big, so it seems to be working.
It's all seemed very positive for sure. Being able to, in a more lighter sense, showcase what's going on behind those scenes, how we prepare, how we, spend the little bit of downtime we get, I think is a good thing.
Back to the on-track action. It all started on Wednesday night with a bit of an upset. Ford sweeping the front row with Joey Logano on the pole, Michael McDowell taking the second spot. This snaps a streak of 9 straight poles for Hendrick Motorsports powered entries. As much as the driver gets to celebrate there in victory lane, this one goes to the shop at Penske, who give Roger Penske his first Daytona 500 pole.
I know I'm up here talking. I shouldn't be the one talking about it. because those guys are the ones that really gave me the race car I needed, to go fast. And they massage on it, they work on it. This is a very prideful pole to win for not just Team Penske and the 22 team, but for Ford and for Roush Yates.
Well, Victory Lane has been busy, will be busy on Monday, won't be busy today. I mean, there it is. It is very empty, just like the entire Speedway, because NASCAR made the call earlier in the morning. They didn't just wait for this thing to play out, and I think there's an appreciation amongst the drivers and the fans of the sport, and probably the media too, that they made that call, because it was pretty obvious this race was going to be pushed to Monday. But this will mean Speed Weeks goes even longer than planned.
Like the way it used to be.
That's right.
It used to be a much longer time here at Daytona.
Not everyone's going to hit the road tomorrow. Instead, they'll still be racing around here on a Monday. But we've had a lot of racing already.
And the good news is it's a holiday on Monday. So hopefully a lot of folks can stick around, get the Xfinity race at 11 a.m. and then the Cup race at 4 o'clock. Let's take a look at some of the action from earlier this week starting on Thursday night.
They start checking up. Accordion Stenhouse gets in the back of Hamrick, and then the worst one was Jimmy Johnson.
Jimmy Johnson is caught up right in the middle of it.
So plenty of drama in duel number one. Needing to beat J.J. Yaley to make the race, Jimmy Johnson gets caught up in a wreck with 15 laps to go in that duel, then sets up a dramatic last lap pass by the number 84, the 7-time Cup champion, squeaking into the field. Tyler Reddick leads the pack to claim his row 2 starting position as the winner of duel number 1.
How about duel number 2 with a lot more damage? Under 15 to go, and defending series champ Ryan Blaney with a hard hit on the outside retaining wall. The 12, 8, and 24 all go to backup cars after that wreck. As for the rest of the race, Christopher Bell takes it to victory lane for a Toyota sweep in the duels. What about the rest of the lineup, Stuart Weber?
Yeah, so that sets the rest of the lineup, and there you have the first 5 rows. Some big names included. Chase Elliott starting in the 5th spot. His Hendrick Motorsports teammate Alex Bowman there in 7th. Some defending champions there in the top 10 as well. Austin Cindric at number 6. Denny Hamlin starting 8th. You look at the second page of the leaderboard. Kyle Larson, another one of those big names to keep an eye on. Right next to him is William Byron, though he will have to drop to the rear for going to a backup car. To the third page of the starting lineup, you see rows number 11 through 15. Ross Chastain, the Watermelon Man, the Florida native, starting there in 21st, as well as Bubba Wallace, always a good super speedway racer at 24th. And then the back of the field, remember, this is one of those races where even if you start in the back of the field like these guys will, it's okay. You're going to be in the draft. You're going to be able to move your way up through the field over the course of 200 laps or more, as recent history has shown at the Daytona 500.
In that bright yellow 88, and there goes Crafton. And we've got a crash. Gray around, the same percentage.
Back to the on-track action so far this weekend. Friday night before the rains came, the truck race living up to its reputation with a ton of cautions. It's always an exciting race. None bigger than the last caution. The 71 and 91 got together, and it's Taylor Gray who takes the worst of it going airborne. I mean, look at that scene down the stretch. It feels like we get it every time on a Friday night in the trucks race. Miami native Nick Sanchez gets his first career victory.
As for Saturday, we mentioned a lot of rain, but at least the Xfinity Series was able to qualify in a short, dry window. I think it was dry for like an hour and a half. They used it to perfection, and that was about it for Saturday. Jesse Love puts it on the pole for the race that will now tentatively be run on Monday morning at 11 a.m. By the way, Frankie Muniz going to start 37th in that race. We got more on him a little bit later on in the show.
Well, once we get the Daytona 500 going and we go green, who's going to end up in victory lane? And that is always a mystery, because it doesn't matter if you're the favorite in this race. We've seen plenty of underdogs win, including last year. Ricky Stenhouse Jr., who, by the way, claimed to fame was dating Danica Patrick and wrecking everybody on the track until this happened at the 500 last year. He was 35-1 odds to win, and Stenhouse able to make it happen.
Yeah, Recky Spinhouse Jr., I believe they called him over the years, because he's an aggressive driver, and that's one of the things that can help you in a last lap situation at the Daytona 500. It certainly paid off. I mean, you mentioned it, the fact that we've now had 3 straight out-of-nowhere winners of the Daytona 500, with Michael McDowell and the rookie Austin Cindric winning it in his rookie season to go out and win the Daytona 500. So the Ricky Stenhouse win was big. Big for the team, big for the driver, and certainly something that he's going to include on his resume for the rest of his career. He will always be a Daytona 500 champion. You can't take that away from him.
A lot of good memories from this week last year and the way it all ended, and luckily I'm not like superstitious, so I didn't have to remember like everything that I did. It feels good to be back in Daytona in February, and knowing that we have an opportunity to defend our race that we won last year, and we feel confident that we'll be capable of doing that.
Yep, whatever you gotta do.
Well, that means 35-1 odds, and we've seen bigger odds to win the 500. I mean, what will it be like this year, Stuart Weber? I mean, the odds are just all over the place. I mean, this is a Vegas favorite, right? You can cash in on the Daytona 500.
That's why even a favorite only comes in with 9-1 odds, and a guy like Denny Hamlin, who's won this three times. I mean, you can be a favorite and still not have great odds to win the Daytona 500. This certainly shows it. Of course, some of the other big names that have a good chance to get to victory lane include Ryan Blaney, the defending Cup Series champion, Brad Keselowski, and Kyle Busch, all among the favorites, quote unquote, because you never know what's going to happen here at the Daytona 500.
All right, here's a look at what everybody's been looking at really for the last couple of days. Oh, my goodness.
That's a lot.
Usually we see green.
Colors.
You don't like to see the orange and the yellows, and that's the Doppler over Daytona here with our First Alert weather team, and that is why we're getting a lot more rain. We actually just did hear an engine fire up for the first time today.
One of the show cars here in the concourse.
They're moving them.
Taking it out of here.
Let's bring in Action Sports Jax Dan Hicken. He has more on the weather, not necessarily today, but Dan, we've always had weather here at Daytona, it seems.
That's correct. Listen, I do what the boys tell me to do. They say, Hicken, we need you to fill in. We can't find the chief. Well, there's a lot of pressure in talking about the weather when you work here and you're trying to replace the National Weather Person of the Year, ladies and gentlemen, in Mike Burrish. But we'll do our best. You know what my friend Marcel Robinson told me earlier today? Hicken, pressure bursts pipes, but it also makes diamonds. So let's take a look at some past Daytona 500 weather and bring you up to date. We've had only one really cold race, right? One time in the 40s, race day back in 1967. Yeah, I was around for that one. Of course I was. 6 times we've been in the 50s, the last time in 2010. Today we got cold and we got damp. Did I say damp? Oh, the weather. It can mess with an outdoor venue, right? Past Daytona 500 weather, 3 times we've had to finish on Monday. 2012, 2020, 2021. What's going on with the 2000s, for goodness sakes? And there's more. 4 races have been shortened because of the weather. In other words, they get going, but they can't finish it, but they don't have too much to go, so let's just call the race. 133 laps in 65, 03, 109 laps, 2009, 162 laps. I did the best I could, guys. Let's go back to you.
You did a great job, Dan. You did a great job. Hey, coming up next, we visit with a racing legend back in Jacksonville and maybe a little history lesson here as well. Still to come on our Road to Victory Lane special. We're live on Fox 30. Of course, the race pushed to Monday at 4 o'clock. That's when they'll go green. It'll be a Monday doubleheader of racing. Hopefully the weather clears by then down here at Daytona International Speedway.
Hey everyone, Ryan Blaney.
The winner at Pocono, Ryan Blaney.
And you're watching Action Sports Jax.
You're watching Action Sports Jax, Road to Victory Lane.
Winning is in his family's DNA, and Ryan has just crested the mountain of all wins. Ryan Blaney is a NASCAR Cup Series champion.
Well, you just heard it. Ryan Blaney, the 2023 champ. Can he defend it? Can he do it again? Well, we've got a long way to find that out. Heck, we can't even get to the green flag of the 2024 season just yet. Welcome back, everybody, to Daytona International Speedway. Road to Victory Lane special live here on Fox 30. We'll hand off to the national coverage at 1 o'clock. They, too, will have coverage of the Daytona 500 this afternoon. But as you know now, there will be 2 races on Monday, 11 a.m., the Xfinity race here at the Speedway. Gates open around 7:30 in the morning if you're coming down. And then 4 o'clock on Fox 30 tomorrow afternoon will be the 2024 Daytona 500. Brent Martineau along with Stuart Weber, the entire Action Sports Jax team. You can probably see the rain coming in. We're undercover, and it's still coming in sideways.
Still coming in.
It's a sloppy day here down at Daytona Beach. But back to Ryan Blaney.
Yep.
One of the faces of NASCAR, and a big win probably for NASCAR and Blaney last year that he was the points champ.
Yeah, without a doubt. I mean, you want these new, young, rising stars to kind of go out there and take the championship, and we've seen that in the last few years with Chase Elliott getting one, Kyle Larson getting one, and now Ryan Blaney with Team Penske getting one after his teammate Joey Logano did the year prior. Now we want to know, can he win the Daytona 500? Had a hard wreck in the duels, and he's had some hard wrecks over the years, but he is one of the best super speedway racers. He's got 2 second-place finishes here and the best average finish of all the drivers when it comes to the Daytona 500. That's without a win. So certainly something to watch for Ryan Blaney as he tries to go and put his name on the Harley J. Earl Trophy.
It's nice walking through the garage here and, hey champ all day, so that part's nice. But new year, this is the new task, new goal, and told people, that's the dream deal, right? You end your year winning the championship and started off with the 500 win. I mean, that's not the cherry on top. That's like the sprinkles and everything on top of it.
Hey, what do you know? Penske perfect pit stop puts that number 7 Felipe Nasr out in front of the 31, and he would not give it up. Nasr at the line.
What a stretch it's been for Team Penske. Blaney's title. Joseph Newgarden's Indy 500 win, most recently an overall win in the Rolex 24 for the first time since 1969. We'll see if they can add another Daytona 500 win next. They are certainly checking off some big boxes.
Yeah, and speaking of the Rolex 24, I don't know how many people in Jacksonville know, but we have a legend of the Rolex 24 living right there in Northeast Florida. Let's bring in Action Sports Jax Marcel Robinson now. He has more on Hurley Haywood, one of the best to ever do it in the sports car realm.
It's no secret that when you think of racing, you immediately think of the Daytona International Speedway. Many of the drivers that have won in Daytona have seen their racing careers propelled into legendary status. And that's also the case for a guy that not only captured the checkered flag in Daytona, he started that journey right here in Jacksonville, Florida.
I came down to college here in Florida and at JU, and I had a pretty fast Corvette, and I used to race that in all the local autocrosses.
Then one day, one of the big boys with big toys came to the River City, and that pit stop became the turning point in Hurley Haywood's life.
One weekend, Peter Gregg and his full-blown race car and crew came to that thing to test something that he was going to use the next weekend. To make a long story short, I beat him, and the rest is history.
There's Hurley Haywood. And we are on board with Hurley Haywood.
With Gregg's help, that history turned into one of the greatest resumes behind the wheel. 5 overall victories at what is now known as the Rolex 24 in Daytona, and 3 checkered flags overseas at Le Mans. In a sport that is all about going fast, Haywood found the ironic secret to success was actually slowing down.
One is patience. You got to be patient and wait for your opportunity to excel. And the other one is adapt to change.
That willingness to adapt carried Haywood throughout his entire career. Sports cars, stock cars, Indy cars, you name it. In fact, in addition to the endurance races, Haywood added a Trans Am and Supercar title, along with 18 IndyCar starts, and was the fastest rookie in the 1991 Indy 500.
It was a really good experience to learn their sort of mindset on what to do. And I'll never forget Dale Earnhardt. He said, listen, I want to talk to you about where the window of opportunity rests on a super speedway. He could come from the back of the pack and find that window of clean air and go from last to first. I always remember that.
Now, of course, there is a little bit of difference between the endurance driving and super speedway driving in the Daytona 500, but the fact still remains that if you can win in Daytona, well, you can win anywhere, something that Hurley Haywood did a lot during his time as a race car driver, and he will go down as one of the best drivers that the world has ever seen. In Jacksonville, Florida, Marcel Robinson, Action Sports Jax.
Thank you, Marcel. As mentioned, Hurley competed in the 1980 Indy 500. This year, one of the best in NASCAR is ready for his shot. Kyle Larson will be looking to complete the double over Memorial Day weekend. That means racing in the Indy 500 in the afternoon, jetting to Charlotte for the Coke 600 in the evening. That's 1,100 miles of racing in one day if you stay on the lead lap of both races and one of the biggest tests a driver can face.
Looking forward to, I think, the open test there in Indy in April, and then getting on into the month of May. It's good to get some more experience. So I look forward to the rest of my time in the car, and we'll see how the rest of the time goes.
Kurt Busch, the last to attempt it a decade ago, and Tony Stewart, the only one to be able to finish all 1,100 miles. When we come back on our Road to Victory Lane special, we turn back the clock and revisit a unique Daytona 500 from all the way back in 1974. We'll bring in our old guy next as you take a ride. Speaking of the old guy, Dan Hicken, he loves this ride right here. Going to beep the horn in the tunnel as you enter Daytona International Speedway. It's quiet. We had people going the other way this morning as we were coming in. Different day here at Daytona International Speedway. The 500 will go green tomorrow at 4 o'clock on Fox 30.
Hi, I'm NASCAR Hall of Famer Rusty Wallace, and this is Action Sports Jax.
You're watching Action Sports Jax, Road to Victory Lane.
He came out of town. He came into a swamp, and there was a racetrack. There was nothing out here. You know, we seen it grow up from 1959.
A new statue on display this week at the World Center of Racing with a giant Stetson hat to honor the king, Richard Petty. He owns the record, of course, for most wins, championships, Daytona 500s, pretty much everything in the sport of NASCAR.
Yeah, there's a lot of those things, right? Welcome back to our Road to Victory Lane special. Brent Martin along with Stuart Weber. We are live here at Daytona International Speedway. Yeah. Obviously, we're alone. There's not a lot of folks down here because racing is done for the day. 4 o'clock tomorrow, the Daytona 500 pushed because of the rain. Let's take a look at some of the Daytona 500 champs along with Petty. He, of course, has the 7. Cale Yarborough with 4.
Yeah, he just passed away at the end of last year. One of the legends of the sport, Bobby Allison, there with 3, tied with Dale Jarrett, Jeff Gordon, and most recently, Denny Hamlin, who has 3. Imagine if he can win a 4th, goes into that upper echelon of drivers here at the Daytona 500.
Well, let's bring in Action Sports Jax Dan Hicken. He has more on an historical moment in the Daytona 500 back in the 70s, Dan.
50 years ago, 50 years ago, the 1974 Daytona 500. Maybe we should call the Daytona 450. Remember the energy crisis in 1974? Well, NASCAR did, so they didn't race full races. They started on lap 21, but at the end, it was a familiar name, Richard Petty. Richard Petty wins the Daytona 500 back in 1974. It was the first time anyone had ever gone back-to-back. It was his 5th Daytona 500 championship, and he beat Donnie Allison. 59 lead changes in that race. That's when racing was racing. And Petty and Allison dueling to the very end. Richard Petty won, and we had a great memory of the 1974 Daytona 500.
Thank you, Dan. Of course, Richard Petty wins it 7 times. Here are the guys who contested it the most times without getting a win. And 4 of the 5 on this list, by the way, NASCAR Hall of Famers. Terry Labonte, his brother Bobby. Mark Martin, of course, came oh so close to winning it in 2007. Rusty Wallace and Ricky Rudd all have not won the Daytona 500.
So we bring the question around sports that gets asked a lot. Do you have to win a championship to be amongst the greats, or how important is it to the resume and the accolades of later on in your career when you're looking back on it? And the question here is, do you need to win the Daytona 500 to be considered one of the greats in NASCAR history? And I guess there are a little bit of mixed reactions on that.
Yeah, and we bring that up because there's 2 really good drivers right now who will be in the Hall of Fame, and Martin Truex Jr. and Kyle Busch, both series champions who have never won the Daytona 500, in near 20 attempts from each of them as they try and try and try to win the Harley Jarrell Trophy.
You know, there's been a lot of really great drivers that have done a lot and won championships that didn't win this race, so I don't know. You know, I don't think it breaks a career, but it sure would be nice. And, you know, I'd rather not talk about which way it went until I'm done racing. So we still got a shot to get it done, and hopefully it's our turn.
I don't think you have to win the Daytona 500 for your career to be complete, but it certainly would mean a lot more to your career and the accolades and everything else that I've achieved over my career.
Both 10 and 20 years ago, Dale Earnhardt Jr. visited Victory Lane in the Daytona 500. He certainly checked that box. Even now as a retiree, he's still making a big impact on the sport. That's coming up next on our Road to Victory Lane special as you get a look at the number 8 of Dale Earnhardt Jr. And in the background there, the number 3 car of his daddy, Dale Earnhardt Sr., of course.
Hey, I'm Kevin Harvick, and you're watching Action Sports Jax.
You're watching Action Sports Jax, Road to Victory Lane.
Dale Earnhardt Jr. brings him to the flag. Checkered flag waving. It's over. It's Earnhardt. And Carl Edwards, 99.
10 years ago, Dale Earnhardt Jr., the second trip to Victory Lane in the Daytona 500 for Junebug. Funny enough, he did it exactly 10 years prior to that one as well, winning in 2004.
He likes the fours, I guess. Well, the weather doesn't like the fours, at least today, because we've got puddles to palm trees hopefully tomorrow, right? Just a wet weekend here at Daytona International Speedway. We saw it coming. We figured it was coming. Daytona saw it coming as well. NASCAR did too, and they pushed the race to 4 o'clock tomorrow. That's when we'll go green at the 2024 Daytona 500. We've got a morning race with the Xfinity race too, so a lot of racing on a Monday. And just a programming note, you can watch the race tomorrow at 4 o'clock right here on Fox 30. Welcome back to our Road to Victory Lane special. The show must go on for us. Brent Martineau along with Stuart Weber here at the Speedway.
Yeah, and when we talk about Dale Earnhardt Jr., it's so much more than his exploits as a driver. Of course, he won plenty of races, never won that championship, but he did win twice here at the Daytona 500. But even after retiring, his impact on the sport has just been huge, from his work as a broadcaster, of course, doing half the races in the latter half of the year, and maybe more importantly as a team owner. I think that's something that's maybe overlooked a little bit. Junior Motorsports running in the Xfinity Series and really providing a lifeline to so many young drivers and even some older drivers as well.
I think a lot of us have learned from what he did within our sport, on and off the racetrack over the years, and something that we're all thankful for.
Daniel Hemrick is just one of the young drivers in the sport who has driven for and learned from a Hall of Famer in Dale Earnhardt Jr.
My chance to drive for Dale, I think of as a point in my life where, like, you're trying to figure out how to bridge one thing to another, and he was kind of that life raft.
Yeah, it's cool to be able to look back and think about the times we spent here. Get my first win in the Xfinity Series. I spent a bunch of time talking to Dale the weeks leading up to it on how to super speedway race.
When it comes to super speedways, there are few better to learn from.
Sitting down and him explaining stuff on how the air works and things that I would have never really thought about, but to be able to listen to him was really big.
Doing things that obviously he learned through the years from his father, and still was doing stuff well before his time of other guys doing things. And you look back at now and see old film, like, man, that was brilliant.
Junior Motorsports fields 4 cars in the Xfinity Series, giving countless drivers a chance to advance in the sport, including a NASCAR veteran and Cup Series champion.
Dale was the guy that started the team that brought me from New Jersey to North Carolina to start this, this career path and racing cars for a living. So obviously Dale has had a huge impact on my career and has been a great friend and ally. He lives NASCAR. He is NASCAR. He does it all. He's the man.
Junior also has a very popular podcast that Stuart Weber catches every week. The current drivers of Hendrick Motorsports had a very uneven 2023. 2 very good performances, 2 disappointing ones thanks to injuries. Kyle Larson and William Byron made the Final 4, coming up just short behind Ryan Blaney. That's the level of excellence you expect from Hendrick. But Chase Elliott and Alex Bowman missed a combined 9 races because of injuries sustained snowboarding and sprint car racing. That left them out of the playoffs in 2023. All the Hendrick drivers are hoping for big results in the organization's 40th anniversary season.
I'd say the general messaging from Hendrick and Mr. H himself is just, it's our 40th year, and we want to go out there and win the 500, win multiple races, and win the championship. So that's the goal. That's the goal every year, but there's probably a little more incentive this year with it being the 40th.
It's special to be a part of the 4 teams that have the pressure of putting on a good season for him. So he's had a legendary career, and just glad to be a part of it, and hope to add some more numbers to the stats sheet this year.
Let's take a look at the numbers game when it comes to manufacturers. In this year's Daytona 500, we'll see 16 Fords, 15 Chevys, and 9 Toyotas, which is a bump up from years past. At most tracks, that number's not going to make a big difference, but at Daytona, where manufacturers try to pit at the same time and work together drafting towards that frantic finish, it certainly will make a difference. But that Toyota number actually used to be a lot smaller. Richard Petty, Jimmy Johnson, meet Toyota. Sounds a little off, right? But that's the new partnership with Legacy Motor Club moving its 2 full-time rides and JJ's part-time car to Team Toyota for 2024 and beyond. As a part owner, part driver, Johnson certainly gets to see all that effort that goes into making the switch from Chevy to Toyota.
While we're talking about new, how about the latest addition to the schedule at Iowa Speedway? A 7/8 of a mile short track oval. We've got a lot of short track and road races this year on the NASCAR schedule. Iowa has previously hosted the lower levels of NASCAR with the Xfinity and Truck Series visiting as recently as 2019, and more recently it's been IndyCar using the track. Come mid-June when the Cup Series visits Iowa, one happy driver will be Chris Buescher. He won his last start there in the Xfinity Series.
That's 91 back to the inside into turn 4. The crossover move. He is now clear into the lead. Gisbergen off at turn 5. Down the long straightaway.
Speaking of the schedule, NASCAR will return to the Chicago Street Course later this year after a historic first race on the streets in 2023. Shane Van Gisbergen winning on a rainy day in Chicago in his Cup Series debut after dominating Down Under in the Supercars Championship. Now, the New Zealander running full-time in the Xfinity Series this year, looking to make an even bigger splash in NASCAR as part of Team Trackhouse moving forward.
Well, if you're of a certain age, you know Frankie Muniz from his time as a child actor. But if you're just tuning in, he's making his NASCAR debut this weekend. We'll have the story of Frankie next.
Maybe they moved the Cup. Maybe they were the different team. You talk, though, about Cole Custer.
I'm NASCAR champion Jimmy Johnson. You're watching Action Sports Jax.
You're watching Action Sports Jax, Road to Victory Lane.
Driver, start your engine! This is Daytona!
All right, all right, all right.
Driver!
Start your engines!
That's kind of fun to watch the montage all together of drivers start your engines. How about drivers get your umbrellas and stay in your RVs and park in the garage? That's the day we have today here at Daytona International Speedways. We welcome you back live to our Road to Victory Lane special. Brent Martineau, Stuart Weber, the entire Action Sports Jax team, and we'll continue to remind you, 4 o'clock, the flag will go green on the Daytona 500 2024 on Monday. You can watch that on Fox 30, and really what the rain does is kind of mess up a lot of the stars coming down here for this big event.
Yeah, there's so many plans that they have to put in place for this big event. I mean, it is the Super Bowl of auto racing, right? So you have all these great dignitaries scheduled to appear and take part in the Great American Race. We've already found out that Pitbull, who was scheduled to do a pre-race concert, is going to do it next year.
Yeah, he's already committed.
He's already committed. DJ Khaled was supposed to wave the green flag to get it started. The Rock, the Grand Marshal, to give us hopefully some of those great words to add to that montage for next year's show.
Yeah, very good.
Certainly something to look forward to. Earlier this week, we had a chance to catch up with the drivers to see which of these three kind of moves the needle most for them.
Well, Pitbull's competition with Trackhouse. Love him to death. He's a great guy. DJ Khaled, he's going to bring a ton of energy for sure. I think that's going to be a lot of fun. Hopefully he doesn't drop the flag.
They'll give him another one.
Yeah, you were waiting to say that, weren't you? I think The Rock, though, we were talking about this, like The Rock, like that's going to be cool to see and hopefully meet him.
DJ Khaled sent me a little message a while ago, so I think probably him. But, man, I love The Rock's awesome. I think that's sweet. We got some good people up there.
I always have some fantastic stars, and that will always be the case here at the Daytona 500. Well, there's a look at the scene just about an hour ago, and everybody's inside the RVs. And this place is usually buzzing, so it's really strange for us to be here on a race day, Daytona 500 day, and it be so quiet. But obviously, with all the rain, tomorrow hopefully will be where all the electricity is at.
Yeah, we talked about the stars involved with the race. What about a star in a race. That is happening on Monday as well in the Xfinity race. Let's bring in Action Sports Jax Olivia Tasley for a little bit of the story on Muniz in the middle.
Frankie Muniz is no stranger to big stage debuts. He was discovered in a talent show at the age of 8 and quickly made his way into the Hollywood scene. Now, nearly 3 decades later, Muniz makes another debut. But instead of going in front of the camera, he went behind the wheel.
Frankie Muniz from the Fox Sunday night hit Malcolm in the middle.
23 years ago, Frankie Muniz was riding shotgun in the pace car for the Great American Race. On Monday, the lifelong NASCAR fan takes his own spin, this time from the driver's seat.
I'm excited to announce that I will be attempting to make my NASCAR Xfinity debut at Daytona International Speedway, route on the 35.
Monday's Xfinity Series race will mark the biggest of his career and more than a decade in the making, a milestone that isn't going unnoticed by NASCAR's best drivers.
This is his second attempt, right? I mean, he tried to do open wheel racing a long time ago, had to go back to work, and then, getting to do this again, it's cool to see him just trying to live out his dream.
It is cool. He's always had a passion for it. I mean, even in those early days, like I remember seeing him at Long Beach Grand Prix. They had that Pro-Am celebrity race that they would do, and now he's coming in midlife and trying to do that. It's very, very tough. But motorsports is probably one of the few sports that is possible. It just takes a lot of work and a lot of making up time, and that's hard to do.
How do I get to do this? Like, it's so cool.
I think it's really cool, honestly. I mean, to see his passion for racing and the way he got into it, living out in California and things like that, and, kind of not giving up a career, but making a move from what he was doing, to pursue a career in racing is really neat.
It's not just Daytona for Muniz in 2024. This year, he will have a chance to prove himself racing a part-time schedule in the Xfinity Series. In the studio, I'm Olivia Tasley, Action Sports Jax.
Speaking of amazing journeys through racing and NASCAR, it's hard to top Josh Berry's. We go one-on-one with the new driver of the number 4 car next on the Road to Victory Lane special. We are live on Fox 30. Race will go at 4 o'clock on Monday, also on Fox 30. And everybody's going to have to wait a little bit longer for all the excitement of the Daytona 500.
Hey, I'm NASCAR driver Kurt Busch.
Kurt Busch wins the Daytona 500.
And you're watching Action Sports Jax.
You're watching Action Sports Jax, Road to Victory Lane.
The latest rookie to take part in a great tradition is Zane Smith, who had the chance earlier this week to go up in the sky with Air Force Thunderbirds in advance of their annual flyover for the 500. Smith joined by recently retired Kevin Harvick in the experience. Those guys love doing that. Welcome back to our Road to Victory Lane special. Brent Martineau along with Stuart Weber. And as always, as you enter the NASCAR season, there's always an eye on the rookies.
Yeah, and this year's rookie class is a little different than maybe years past. You have Zane Smith as a young guy and his teammate Carson Hocevar. These are two guys jumping from the Truck Series right into the Cup Series, although they did get a little experience last year. And then you have that guy in the middle, Josh Berry. Josh Berry is in his mid-30s. This is a guy who's been racing for more than half of his life. And as a professional, doing it at the lower levels. He was discovered by Dale Jr. He worked for Dale Jr. for over a decade, and now he gets his chance in the Cup Series. It's really quite the remarkable story. I had a chance to go one-on-one with Josh Berry a few weeks ago.
Like a whirlwind is a great way to explain it. I think the last couple of years to go from kind of just full-time short track racing just a few years ago to get an opportunity in the Xfinity Series and then now in the Cup Series has really been a dream come true, really, I guess, in a way. It's been an accelerated path, I feel like, but there's a lot to look forward to this year, and I got a great opportunity in front of me.
Yeah, and you mentioned a great opportunity. I mean, it had to be for you to kind of to change manufacturers, to go away from the familiarity you've had these last few years with Junior Motorsports and getting to moonlight with the guys over at Hendrick. Tell me about that opportunity and really how good it must have been for you to jump into that 4-car.
Yeah, it's man, it's just kind of crazy to think back on kind of the chain of events there. But really my first conversations with Stuart Haas started, really about this time last year, right before Daytona. And then amongst those conversations, Chase Elliott gets injured. I get thrown in that opportunity. And then again with Alex. And it was really just kind of too good to be true, I guess, in a way for me, because it really what it turned into was just a full blown audition for me, right? To go through that. And, on the 4-car and Stuart Haas Racing, right, their legacy speaks for themselves, and to have the opportunity to work with a team as strong as the 4 team and work with a crew chief like Rodney Childers is really just a no-brainer for me.
I think one of the nice things for you, I mean, you're just going to have to focus on one car now. Obviously, last year, you're still running the full Xfinity schedule. As you were doing that full-on audition with 2 very different race cars from the Xfinity to the Cup Series level, for you to be able to focus on the one, give it all your attention this year, what kind of difference do you think that'll make for 2024?
I think it'll definitely be a big help. Switching back and forth between the next gen and the Xfinity car, I think looking back on it was probably harder than I realized in the moment. I think that I felt like even there was a couple instances in there when I ran the next gen back to back, and I felt like that was a big improvement for me versus having to jump back and forth, and because there's a lot going on in the weekend. And I think just I feel like as a driver and you adapt to the cars, you kind of go back naturally to what you know the best and you feel most comfortable. And just the little nuances of the next gen, I think, would always take me a little bit more time to adapt to, because I just popped out of the Xfinity car, whether it's practice or qualifying or a race. So I think being able to focus on that will be a benefit.
How pumped are you to get out there for the Daytona 500?
To get to go to Daytona, man, that's going to be a dream come true, really. I think for me, when I think back as a kid, right, like when I was a kid and playing with all these diecast cars and everything that I had as a little boy, the first race that I really remember watching was the 97 Daytona 500, right? Like that's the first race that just sticks out in my mind, and Jeff Gordon won it. And so to get to go compete in that race is going to be really fun, and it's going to be emotional. I think just being able to experience that and take all that in for the first time, it's going to be a lot of fun. And we definitely want to have a good showing out, get the season started off right.
Good stuff catching up with Josh Berry. And for our NASCAR fans watching the show, we'll have more from Berry and many other drivers in the sport on a new weekly show. We call it The Cup Date. The first episode is already on our Action Sports Jax YouTube page, and that is where you will find it for now, with more to come, of course, down the road with Action Sports Jax 24/7. Keep your ears tuned for that.
Still to come here, the white flag is out on this show, and we're racing toward the finish line. Team Action Sports Jax makes its picks on who will end up in Victory Lane. That's coming up next on our Road to Victory Lane special, and this sign says it all. Garage closed here on this Sunday, Monday racing down at Daytona.
You're watching Action Sports Jax, Road to Victory Lane.
I'm a walking margarita, actually. So you're trying to catch a Rita. I guess I'm the Rita you're trying to catch, and you can catch it by scanning the QR codes. So you can scan this guy or this guy or this guy.
You can be a winner too with
You got to love NASCAR, right? A little personality, a commitment to plugging your sponsor, certainly going a long way. Corey LaJoie showed up to Media Day covered in QR codes, not afraid at all to tell you all about that big logo on the hood.
Yeah, can we ask him to have the QR code for our app? Download the Action News Jax Now app.
Like that.
And you'll see us soon on our Action Sports Jax 24/7 channel. All sports, all the time on that app as well, along with news and weather. Brent Martineau along with Stuart Weber. Road to Victory Lane special continues, and it's pick time.
Yes.
Who's going to get some bragging rights? And we'll go around the horn here. Let's begin with Action Sports Jax Dan Hicken.
So who do I like for the Daytona 500? Well, listen, man, you got to have a lot of luck and a lot of good driving to win the Daytona 500. So I think the sun's going to shine eventually. Chase Elliott. Yeah, I'm taking Chase Elliott for a couple reasons. One, I love when the siren goes off at Dawsonville when the Elliots win a race. And two, I'm a Chevy guy. So I'm taking Chevy, Chase, Elliott to win the Daytona 500.
He's starting first, and after all is said and done, he's going to end it in the same position. Give me Joey Logano to claim the checkered flag for his second career Daytona 500 victory.
Well, let's be honest. We're all going to get this pick wrong, but The thing about the Daytona 500 is that the winner is usually someone that you don't expect. Well, Kyle Busch has been unsuccessful 18 times, and I think that with the rowdy weather, 19 is going to be the charm.
Well, who you got?
You know who I got. I mean, for all the years we did this way back
Dale
when
Jr.'s not racing.
When Dale Jr. was here, I'd always pick Dale Jr. Now I've moved on to my other guy, Ryan Blaney. I mentioned it earlier in the show, 2 second-place finishes. He's really good at this track.
I've got Ty Gibbs, by the way. I seem to see Joe Gibbs racing in Victory Lane a bunch.
Thanks for watching Action Sports Jax, Road to Victory Lane.